Hi, my name is Joanne Rolle, and I previously was the Dean of the School of Business at my Medgar Evers College. Um, yes, I previously was the Dean at Medgar Evers College, City University of New York. And I'm recently retired, and I am now the managing principal of JD Rolle and Associates. The focus of my work is on technology, the intersection of technology, entrepreneurship, and education. Today, I'll be talking to you in a session about tech-enabled futures, elevating education in underserved areas. It's a body of work that I've been working on with several scholars, multiple scholars, in three different volumes: The Future of Work and Entrepreneurship for the Underserved, and subsequent titles in terms of sustainability, as well as empowerment. But today I want to talk to you about the reason I created the work that I'm talking about now is those volumes which mainly reviewed, viewed, and accessed by academicians. This particular body of work, it was intended for practitioners, community leaders, NGOs, and others who might find the work helpful. The SDGs that are encompassed in this body of work is SDG 1, eradication of poverty. I'm an economist by training. I look at economic development through entrepreneurship for communities. And so I'm always looking at SDG 1. But the core of this work is on the quality of education and access to the needs for transformation of education, as in SDG 4. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. Of course, the change in technology and having the workforce ability to access that technology and therefore have decent work and economies and the communities to grow. Reducing inequalities, those who have access to the technology and those that don't. The haves and the have-nots, and how the have-nots become greater if they don't have access to this technology. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, whether we're talking about rural communities or urban communities, having the infrastructure necessary to run some of these emerging and advanced technologies is important. And SDG 17, much of the work cannot be done alone, either by industry or the academy or communities. We must partner. We must partner in the work that will be done, that needs to be done. And so I am going to start by sharing with you a table of contents, um, and as it goes on, I'll share with you. I'm not going to talk in depth about any one, but I want to give you some highlights so that you can get a feel for the work. We always start, or I always start when I'm talking about this, is with the digital divide and why it's a global challenge and not just an imperative of one country or another country, but it is indeed a challenge for around the globe. And then I'll talk a little bit about curriculum for the digital age, and the time is not in the future. That time is now. Classroom revolutions, as they involve the innovations that are needed, or in fact that are now. And some of this, we don't know what will be needed in the future, but some of it is happening right now. Game-changing ed tech for equity, teacher training and professional development, community involvement and partnerships, sustainability and long-term impact, adult education and lifelong learning, especially for those who are exiting the workforce, are our seniors. And I do a whole piece, not in this body of work, but a whole piece of the work that we're working on now is about seniors and supporting them with technology in their professional and personal lives to improve the quality of their life. Then I also talk about data-driven decisions and the need to not look necessarily back on all of the historical data, but look at how things are changing now and use that data to influence some of the new policy and governance that we will be needing. So let me get right to it, because this is a lot of work that I hope to present to you in a small amount of time. And as I promised, let's start off with the digital divide, a global challenge. Here we go. So the way it's framed, or I frame it, the work is access, but access is not enough. It is important, but it is not enough. There needs to become education, but just to educate it doesn't do the job either. We need to engage. The students need to really, the students or those who are engaging those who are learning need to be engaged, and then they should be empowered. And let me just talk to you a little bit about the technology here. The technology that we have access to now has shifted the way many folks are doing business now. I have a demonstration of a text to video. You see no real actors. What you see is the first paragraph or so in the book, in the text, and the AI actually developing the video images, and not just still images, but video images based on the text that came from the book. Let me demonstrate it for you.
The digital divide exceeds a mere matter of access. When you limit access, the basis of consumption, you hit other critical areas like education and healthcare. Lack of access worsens life quality and creates a demand for immediate action. Let's therefore unveil the global digital divide and its consequences. Let's see how technology may bridge this gap and help us build a more equitable future. We must access, engage, educate, and empower.
And so the power of this, for those of us who are in education, is there could be a part of our lecture or a part of our session that may be difficult to read. We could have the AI develop modules where the students can visually understand and see better the concepts that we're trying to get across. Curriculum for the digital age is now, it is not just in the future. I'll give you another demonstration of a script to video to help emphasize the kinds of innovations that we have access to now.
Curriculum for the digital age. Welcome to our journey through the evolution of educational environments, from traditional classrooms to the digital era. Let's start with a glimpse into the past. A late 20th century classroom with wooden desks and chairs facing a chalkboard. On the chalkboard, Albert Einstein's quote, "We cannot solve today's problems with yesterday's thinking," is written in a creative, chalk-like font. The scene evokes a sense of nostalgia and the importance of evolving educational methods. The 1980s brought the introduction of bulky desktop computers into the classroom, symbolizing the early stages of digital learning. Students are seen learning to use these new technologies with curiosity and excitement. Fast forward to the 2000s. Smartboards began to replace traditional blackboards. This significant step towards interactive and digital learning environments shows a teacher interacting with a smartboard while students watch attentively. In our current era, classrooms have transformed with the use of tablets and laptops, facilitating a fully digital and collaborative learning experience. This represents the full transition to digital learning, highlighting the importance of technology in education today. In conclusion, the evolution of educational environments reflects our society's shift towards embracing digital solutions to enhance learning experiences. This journey illustrates the importance of adapting to technological advances to meet the educational needs of future generations.
So I wanted to be able to demonstrate to you some of the access to the technology that we have now, and it was intentional. You saw a senior at the end really fighting to understand and work with the technology, and that is what the future is going to look like. Seniors have more time, more energy, and they're living longer, and so having access to the technology and being able to engage with it also empowers them. And that's a piece of work that a group of us are working on now. So bridging the gap between traditional education and 21st century requirements is some of the work that we are trying to do now. highlighting the inadequacy of traditional schooling and meeting future market needs. The industries are not waiting on us. Many industry leaders are going to certifications where students are testing, and many, when I look back at a couple of years ago, IBM, 50% of its workforce requirements did not include an undergraduate degree. What they wanted to do was take away, there are many countries where they just can't have, many folks just can't have access to the degree, but they are talented. They have access to the knowledge. So the industries are getting very adept at understanding how to access the talent, even without our academic institutions, at least in the short run. Okay, curriculum is now the educational gap posing risk to students' readiness for future jobs. And you can have the debate that education is not only about jobs, but there are many countries where the young people need jobs, and even some of the older people are being forced to leave jobs, and they are not economically ready to live the remainder of their long life on their pension. So on both ends, there's the pressure to be ready for the kinds of jobs that are there. Now, many of my colleagues, and I'm just talking about my colleagues, do not want their students to use emerging technology, advanced technology, or AI in the classroom. But I will tell you that this has been taken out of our hands. Microsoft, and let me see if I could just navigate to a small clip, is shipping, as of early this year, its AI and all of its products. Let me start this back so you could just hear a little bit about reimagining education.
Welcome to Reimagine Education. We are thrilled to have you join us. It's hard for me to believe how much our world has changed in the past year. The emergence of large language models and AI tools is already having a profound impact on the way we work, and most importantly for me, the way we teach and learn. Students have access to more information and technology than ever before. And it's up to all of us to develop ethical and responsible behaviors and solutions that will equip them with the skills they need to thrive today and into their future careers.
Okay, so that is our industry partner. That is not a provost or a president of a university or college. That is a vice president saying how they are taking it seriously to reimagine education and what is needed for students to be effective in their learning. So I'm going to try and navigate back to where I was. Let's see. Okay. Uh-oh. Here I go. I am out. Let me see if I can just get back to my, yes. Hopefully you could still see my screen. Let's continue. Let me check my time. Yes, classroom revolution, innovation and methods. Evolving educational practices, the flipped classroom. Much of our education has been where we've had the sage on the stage. What is happening now is empowering the learner by giving more and more work to be done outside and coming in. And this is at all levels, not just at the higher levels, and to come in and synthesize, not do some of the basic work. So flipped classrooms highlight the shift from traditional learning by promoting home-based lessons, in-class homework, leveraging flipped standards for flexible. And gamification, many of the students are gamers long before they hit the classroom. And so the issue is, how do we take this skill set, embrace it, and turn it into an academic skills, an academic asset for the student? And we have some examples of that. enhanced learning with AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, all ways to help the students' imagination and innovation kick into worlds where they would never be involved in or could not be involved in. Someone in a rural area immersed in an urban setting and developing skills in a setting that they don't have access to. So these are powerful tools to help support learning. And so with the Microsoft technology is going to come, or it is already there embodied in the platform, is a way so that we could personalize the learning for our students. So you can have a large classroom and you could, have your average pace that you're going, but for those outliers, that student who's ahead of the class or that student that is behind the class, you could have a lesson plan or a work plan to help them understand content at the pace that they are learning. So this is all that's here now. It's been tested and it is being launched. The issue is access. Not everyone has access to the technology that's being launched. So let's continue. How do we bring along whole communities and not just individual unicorns in the situation? And it's urgent. It is happening now. Many communities are getting left behind already. The digital divide impact on underserved communities emphasize connectivity as a fundamental infrastructure for EdTech. So much, even if you have the tools, if you don't have the infrastructure, you will not have access. And so that's part of a challenge we will address in the latter part of the presentation of the role of government. This is a big industry. It is not a small industry. It is forecast by 2026 to be a $460 billion industry. So it's not just important, but it will be economically viable for those who choose to find new creative ways to solve this problem of equity and access towards inclusive and equitable education, the importance of targeting EdTech efforts to improve literacy, quality, and connectivity, especially in underserved communities. Those communities, as recent as this year, they are falling further and further behind. And with that also comes economic development falling further and further behind. So the imperative is for us to do something and do something soon. We have learning management systems that are of access in many developed countries, but are not of access in many developing communities. So the heart and soul of our learning system is the teacher. And I will give you an example. Technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational. Recently, a general in one of the, I'll just say it, espionage services, when asked the question, will AI take over humans? He said, absolutely not. Where we put our investment is in our best talent. They're not looking for average talent. They're looking for the best talent, but they wrap technology around that good talent, that excellent talent, and it becomes a factor of even better good. So you have man and machine working at optimum. So in order to get there, the teachers need to be empowered and have a lot of professional development and need to understand that the innovations that they come in pedagogy and digital tools help not only to make them better, but to support the students that need to be developed as well. Building a future-ready teaching workforce, initial and continuous training. A lot of times our faculty, our teachers are trained in the beginning. Many of them continue to do research, but they don't necessarily do research on pedagogy typically they're doing in their subject matter experts, SME expertise area. So if I'm accounting, I'm doing my research in accounting, but am I doing my research in how accounting is changing? We at our institution had a European company comes to us and wanted to have interns on the AI, not so much because they wanted them to work for them, but they wanted them to be exposed to the technology. But if our faculty hadn't been exposed to the technology, so we had one faculty member who was the point of contact to support faculty who wanted to understand, not necessarily teach it, but understand how AI was taking over many accounting functions. And so we need the teacher to feel empowered to be able to create more, understand more, and have more platforms to work. So I must really, because community is a very big part, and partnerships is a very big, partnerships for the ecosystem is a very big part of how we must go forward and not in the silos that we have been doing. The community as a catalyst, we have several examples of where the community has come together to help experiential learning, improve the learning experience of the students, but not just the students, those in the communities, those who are not actually in school, but are benefiting by the knowledge that is coming to the community. Partnerships for Progress illustrates successful collaborations between parents, businesses, and NGOs in enhancing educational outcomes. Collective impact initiatives discuss the collective impact model amplified by Chattanooga 2.0, focusing on equitable education. And there are many, many more examples of where the community has come together to support and help learning outside of the classroom and to facilitate improved learning inside the classroom. Again, parents are not necessarily in the classroom, but they need to understand the what and the why, so they could be more supportive of the vision and the mission that is going on in and outside of the classroom for the learning of their students. Local businesses sometimes can't have access to the technology because they're too small, but if we work together with the industries and the universities to give some of those small businesses access, they can develop better product to get better results in the communities. And we have some examples of that in the book. And NGOs also supporting and driving change. So sustainability and long-term impact, if you look at many of the development of funds that have gone into in silos, and you go out 5 years, 3 years, even 2 years later, you don't see the kinds of outcomes that we would like to see. So a holistic approach to sustainability needs to happen, integrating the financial viability, scalability, and impact measurements to create enduring educational opportunities. And so the community is important for sustainability. Financial sustainability and scalable solutions, engaging ecosystems, including NGOs, donor agencies, and governments to deploy digital education resources effectively so that they last and produce stronger results. So we don't have to year after year look at the same problem that has not been solved. And once we solve a problem, hopefully it's scalable. We can repeat the solution in other places, but also looking with the communities that we serve to give us voice and input, and not just try to have one size fits all. Let's go to adult education, and this is important. Many students think, oh, I'll get my degree and I'm done. What we are facing now in education is lifelong learning, the demand, the need, the requirement for lifelong learning. What we learned 30 years ago is not going to serve us completely for the age and the world that we are facing. Technology and industry is changing so fast, and they are demanding that We through all kinds of ways, whether it's mentorship, coaching, courses, self-paced or certificate-oriented, that we continue to learn as adults in these new tech environments that we're facing. And so it's especially, I do a lot with the seniors, Tech for Seniors. Seniors need access because they're living longer, and they're living longer, and they have potential to do more, and they're in better health. Many seniors in many countries are forced out of the workforce at a certain age, especially in government work. In some of the countries that I've worked in Africa, there's a certain age, and they are not ready. And in more ways than one, they still can produce, and they still have economic needs that are not being met by the pensions that they have gotten. So we can't just look at our previous data because that data doesn't have some of the variables that we are facing now. So we must continue to present new and evolving data, and then make good decisions based on that data that we have. And I'm coming to the policy, governance, and the role of government. And this is key. You can have all of the laptops or desktops you want, but if you don't have access to the internet, they are only going to be able to function at a certain level, and not going to be able to give the access, the empowerment, the engagement, and the learning that is needed. So we need government to do some of the heavy lifting with the policy, and to form the bedrock of equitable and effective tech-enabled education, guiding infrastructure, curriculum development, and ensuring equity. And that's a big piece. You know, technology is going to keep going at the pace it's going, and that is a given. That is not going to change. What we would like to change, we have a worldwide population. We do not want the majority of that population with no work, because that will indeed cause a bigger problem. We talked about the eradication of poverty, but at that point in time, we had a larger middle class. What we are seeing now is that we have a large upper class driven by some of these large businesses who are developing billionaires, and then we continue to have the poor with us with continued challenge. Some make it out of poverty, but a great deal of the majority will not make it out of poverty unless we do something to change. And I am hoping that I have convinced you that the change needs to be related to education, entrepreneurship, and technology together. The vision for inclusive learning to include many of the communities in the underserved that are not included now, to collaborate together for the change, the governments, the parents, the universities, the industries all coming together and not being siloed with their own inputs and their own outputs, but to come together with a synergy that's going to have a sustainable solution. And global perspective, this is a global problem. Every single country, their bar none, have their haves and their have-nots. And this presentation is just saying we want to have fewer have-nots. I don't know that we will ever eradicate poverty, but certainly we can reduce it if we have the will. And the future of education is bright. I believe educators will change as the need change. There are even some folks in education now talking about industry completely bypassing us by producing their own schools, and that is not too far-fetched, or just going around the faculty and going straight to the students, sort of like the NBA does now. They don't even wait, the National Basketball League, they don't even wait for the students to go into college. They pick them right out of high school before they get into college, and because they have become professional at what they do without the need, or so perceived need, of the credentials that we get in the academy. So my plea to you is for change. We cannot continue the way we have with a very inequitable world. And that more of this is in terms of access, educate, engage, and empower is in tech-enabled futures, elevating education in underserved areas. And with that, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for being here with me. And thank you for supporting the work that we do. All right, I will end my presentation now.